I want to talk about a tough subject, and that is mental illness. We have all had incredible amounts of stress. I mean, life is stressful in general, but it seems that the more years go on, the more stressful it becomes. And the past 3 years in particular have just been over the top stress. So I'm going to give you some statistics. This comes from the National Institute for Mental Health America, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and the Center for Disease Control, the CDC. So here are some stats. 1 in 5 Americans suffers from a mental illness, and that's like diagnosed. Anxiety disorders are the highest reported mental health issue in the US, and there are 42.5 million Americans who claim to suffer from anxiety. I hear this all the time in my practice. There are 4.5 million children in the United States diagnosed and living with anxiety. And I'm going to talk about causes and what you can do about this. ADHD, behavior problems, anxiety, and depression are the most common mental disorders affecting children. Okay, folks, so let's talk about what's causing this to happen, because there's always been some level of mental illness in society. There's always some level of stress. But when you look at the statistics, it has been ramping up at an incredible rate over the last few decades. So from a naturopathic perspective, I'm going to give you the things that I know contribute to that. And if we straighten them out, the bodies heal, and magically people are able to handle their stress better. So, number 1, a bad gut. When you have a bad gut, you're not able to manufacture serotonin, and that's what keeps your mood, in a good place. Check out my video on allergies and a gut recipe to learn what you can do to improve your gut. But also, probiotics are good for the gut. Second physical cause, low vitamin D. Third physical cause, low vitamin B12 and low B complex vitamins in general. Low magnesium. This is very interesting. It's a fair bet that you're low in magnesium because 50% of Americans don't even get the RDA. Now the RDA it's so low, it's ridiculous. The RDA is based on a bell curve. So you take what do most people need, and the RDA is, well, what's the minimum that most people need to not have a diagnosable illness caused by that deficiency. So that's, kind of ridiculous. So take magnesium. Too much sugar is another physical cause. Sorry, but too much sugar can cause the imbalances that contribute to different types of mental illness. Food sensitivities. Oh my goodness. If you have never heard of a woman named Doris Rapp, R-A-P-P, look her up. She's a medical doctor. She was very famous in the 60s and 70s because her research showed that the food sensitivities could actually turn on not only anxiety and depression, but learning disorders, ADD, ADHD, those kinds of things, not just in kids, but in adults. So look up Dr. Rapp and you'll really enjoy what you see. Other causes, not enough sunshine. We spend way more time indoors than we are meant to. Not enough exercise. Hormone imbalances. If you have hormone disruption either monthly for a woman or at different times of life like puberty and menopause or andropause, your mood goes along with that. So when your hormones are unbalanced, it's very hard to keep your mood balanced. Now, there are societal causes as well. We don't have enough social time and interacting with friends as we used to. A lot of this is because of screens. The more we get on our phones, the more we're scrolling through social media, the less we have personal interaction. I was just talking to my mom yesterday, as a matter of fact, because we've got some younger family members going to their first prom. And my mom was saying, oh my gosh, we were in a restaurant and here comes a group of teens, obviously, from a prom to eat at the restaurant. They had beautiful clothes, etc. They sat down at the table and every single one of them pulled out their phone and just was on their phone. Nobody was interacting with each other. That's a big deal. And then, of course, social media can also cause people to feel kind of inferior. Wow, my life is really dull compared to these other people. It can be a bad thing with too much. Other kinds of social causes. Unfulfilling spiritual walk. We are meant to have some kind of a spirituality to help us through times of stress. And then finally, a lack of purpose, a lack of passion. People are meant to make a difference of some kind in the world, whether it's being the best you can be at sports, whether that is being an artist, whether that is like me, helping people. I do it in the physical realm, but there's all kinds of purposes that one can have. Caring for a child, being a parent is a big purpose in life. So these are things that can be changed. And I'm not saying that you're never going to have situational things happen to cause mood problems. But what's become far too common is we just slap a drug on these things without even looking at the causes. I'll never forget when my younger son was in the 3rd grade. He was spending the night with a little friend and I was picking him up the next morning. The mom was talking about how his friend had ADD and was on medication. And I, because of what I do for a living, I'm just asking her, well, gosh, what does he eat? And she proceeded to tell me this diet just laden in sugar. And I said, well, maybe if you start his day with something different than a muffin or a sugary cereal. She's like, oh, that's too much trouble. The medication is way easier. So these attitudes, we've gone down this line of medicating everything and not asking ourselves, is there something else that could be done? So I'm hoping to kind of open your eyes to some of the things you can do to help yourself. And it is a very real problem. We want to help each other as much as possible. If you're on medications, for heaven's sake, don't just come off your medications after watching this. You have to fix what's going on first before that's okay to do. And then when you do, if you decide, yes, I really don't want to take this anymore, you've got to work with your doctor to wean off. You can get a rebound anxiety or a rebound depression, and that's no good either. So it's all got to be done in a safe and sane, correct way.